Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome everyone to Engineering Economy. In this session, we will continue with chapter 2, how time and interest affect the money. We have explained in the previous sessions about the formulation, how we do the formulation for changing the value of money over time. We stated that the standard notation for the changing the value of money over time. For example, the x given y, x is the one that is unknown and y is the one that you know. We gave an example for finding the value over time using the tables, whether it was a single payment that you want to change it from a future to present or from present to future, or from a single value into annual values. Also, we talked about the shifted uniform series and how we convert the shift into a single value. Also, we talked about the shifted series with some random single values or single amounts. In today's session, we will continue with a new concept, which is the arithmetic gradient factors. The arithmetic gradient factors is one also of the techniques or one of the examples you may see it to, or cases you may face in quizzes or exams or real life, where is an gradient increasement. The arithmetic gradient, by the way, is the تدرج الحسابي. As you can see here from the graph, there is a gradient تدرج, and this gradient is arithmetic, يعني حسابي محسوب له قوانين، ما هو arbitrarily، ما هو عشوائي. فhow we, in this case, how we change this value using our converters that we learned and the same formulation that we have covered in the previous sessions in chapter 2. We always have two components in the gradient. The arithmetic gradient يحتوي على جزئين مهمين، البيز والgradient amount. إيش معنى الكلام ده؟ البيز هو الأساس للمبلغ، والgradient هو معدل أو قيمة الزيادة. Let's say you are going to have a revenue starting from year 1 by 100 ريال. عندك أرباح حتكون من السنة الأولى قيمتها 100 ريال. Increased over the years by 50 ريال. إيش معنى الكلام ده؟ معناها أنا أرباحي حتكون من السنة الأولى، تبدأ من السنة الأولى how much 100 ريال، لكنها بتزيد every year by 50 ريال، يعني كل سنة بتزيد معي 50 ريال. For this, then second year it will be 100 plus 50. In year 3 it will be 150 plus another 50. Then until forever, depend on how much the revenue will keep growing. فهو معدل ثابت في الزيادة اللي هو in our example was the 50 ريال. البيز it was starting from 100, so the 100 will be, as you can see, this straight line here represent the 100 that will apply to all the coming years. يعني المية ثابتة معايا في كل السنوات القادمة بغض النظر. Here I have 150. This is the 100 base plus the 50 that is the gradient. The 100 already here. Here I have 150 plus 50, that's mean 200. But the 100 is already from the base, I have it. لأنه أنا بزيد على الزيادة أو المبلغ الأساسي اللي إحنا سميناه البيز. Okay? So this is the concept of gradient. The gradient, it's an annual amount. But with arithmetic gradient appear over the years. يعني هو سنوية، مبالغ سنوية، لكن it's not constant. ما هي المية هنا 150 حتكون، وهنا 200 وهنا 250 و300 وإلى ما الآخر يعني حنكمل. فهي is not fixed، لكن at the same time it has arithmetic gradient fixed. إيش معناها؟ الزيادة السنوية الحسابية لها ثابتة حتى لو كانت القيمة الإجمالية لكل سنة مختلفة. In this case, and you may see this in some businesses, they offer, like for example, to sell this business. يعني واحد بيعرض البزنس حقه إنه يبغى يبيعه، فبيقول لك هو عنده معدل نمو شهري ولا سنوي بهذا المقدار، إما يكون قيمة ثابتة أو نسبة. Here we are talking about the اللي هو fixed amount اللي هو الأرثمتيك، يعني يكون قيمة ثابتة وليست نسبة. How we deal with this case, we are going to explain that in examples. So we said it's annual, and in the cases usually you will have it to convert it to find the present. So the present will be the present worth of the gradient plus the present worth of the base amount. We will explain that. And we said there are two components, the gradient component, the base component for the arithmetic gradient scenarios or cases. Let's take an example and it will explain more. In the first example here, it is required from you to determine the arithmetic gradient and construct the cash flow diagram. This is one type. To find القيمة الحسابية اللي بتزيد فيها مبالغ بالسنة. The case says a sports apparel company has initiated a logo licensing program. شركة رياضة وعملت لللوجو حقها، يعني أنشأت اللوجو والعلامة التجارية. It expects to realize a revenue of 80,000 in fees next year from the sale of its logo. حيتوقعوا أرباح قدرها 80,000. When next year when it says next year, that means he's talking about now, and the next year will be on year 1. Fees are expected to increase uniformly to level of $200,000 in 9 years. Pay attention. Fees are expected to increase uniformly to a level of 200,000 in 9 years. 9 years إيش معناها؟ ما بيتكلم دحين، هو ما حيدفع fees، واضح من كلامه. He's talking about 9 years from now. So year 0 is excluded. He's talking about that the value will be started to be implemented 9 years from now. Okay? Determine the arithmetic gradient and construct the cash flow. Okay? The fees are expected to increase uniformly to a level of 200,000 in 9 years. وعندنا revenue in the next year will be 80,000. What you do, you subtract the fees اللي هي الرسوم أو المبالغ اللي حتصير في ال9 سنوات الجاية من الربح اللي أنت حتحصله السنة القادمة. Okay, when I subtract this from that means I'm trying to find what? I'm trying to find the increasement that happens over the years. لأنه هو بيقول لك إنه increasement uniform ثابتة وحتوصل ل200,000 في 9 سنوات، يعني في السنة التاسعة حيكون عندي 200,000، لكنها تراكمية، يعني جاية كل سنة. Every year there is an increasement. Where we found that fees are expected to increase uniformly to a level حتى تصل إلى 200,000، يعني حتوصل إلى 200,000. الفيز حتوصل إلى 200,000، فهي حتكون في زيادة متصاعدة uniform. when says uniform معناها ثابتة. ما هو اليوم السنة الجاية 50، السنة اللي بعدها 100 and 200. No, it's uniform. So it's fixed amount increasement until it achieves the 200,000. So when we subtract the 200,000 from the 80,000, that will give us the increase in the 9 years. Then we divide it over the number of years. The number of years we have 9 minus 1. Why 9 minus 1 or n minus 1? Because the increasement will be appeared from the year number 2. In year number 1, already he said that the revenue is 80,000. And then the fees will be appeared over the 9 years until it achieves the 200,000. So when we divided over the number of years where you will see the amount of the gradient plus to the base. The base is already here, اللي هو احنا اتفقنا عنه. فاكرين the example previously we said you have a revenue 100 riyal in the next year and then it's increased by 50 riyal. So the amount of increasement will appear on this year. Okay, so we divided over the number of years minus 1, and that will give me the exact amount of gradient that will increase over the years. So the base is 80,000 from the next year, and then I will add 15,000 every year. You will find how you confirm your answer it's correct. On year 9, you have to achieve 200,000. So now you can confirm your answer is correct. هذه طريقة انك انت تتأكد ان اجابتك صحيحة. لأن هو it says in the example in 9 years it will increase uniformly to achieve $200,000. So the amount I'm going to increase it over the 80,000. It should achieve 200,000 on year 9. Okay, and as we said, he said that in 9 years it doesn't mean يعني ممكن ال question in some of students mind now طيب هو قال لي هنا 9 ليش ما خليتها 9 هنا؟ اوكي هو بيقول لك ال increasement will happen in 9 years. So I know that my cash flow is already starting from year 1 because it says here, and it will achieve until year number 9. So I know where is the end of my cash flow. But he said already that the fees is going to be started after he mentioned that there was a revenue on 80,000. So when it started here, the impact of that fees, it will not appear until the followed year. زي ما قلنا مثال الإكزامبل حق الأرباح، يكون عندك أرباح في السنة الأولى، بعد كده حيكون زيادة عندك أو نقصان. In this case it was fees. Okay, and how you confirm your answer? You, as we said, you see the increasement until it gets the 200,000. This is one type of examples or questions could come, but the most common one or the most common examples or questions, it comes like the examples that we covered previously in the shifted uniform series or in the uniform series with a single amount. These are the most common frequent type of questions because it can blend with the other scenarios of the shifted series and so on. In this example, we have a given information and given values over the term, and he wants you to find the present worth. And this is, as I said, the most typical type of questions. In this company expects that the cost of a tractor part to increase by $5 per year beginning 4 years from now. 4 years from now, he said that increasement by $5 if the cost in years 1 to 3 is $60, determine the present worth of year 0 if the cost through year 10 at interest rate of 12% per year. So he wants to find P0. Now this is similar. It has some parts similar to the uniform series. Why? Because the year 1 and 2, I have the year 1 until 3, I have the value of $60 as it says here in the question. And then he said, there is expected $5 per year beginning of year 4. Beginning of year 4. So at year 4, there is the beginning of the 5 years, or the $5 increasement. For how long? He said the project will be for 10 years duration, so it will be from year 1 to year 10. ليش؟ بيقول لك here determine the present worth of the cost through خلال 10 سنوات. فالمشروع أو البروجكت here أو increasement for 10 years. Okay, so we start by looking to this cash flow. The information here will enable you to draw a cash flow, even though if it was not given, you can do the cash flow yourself. عندنا from year 1 to year 10, this is the cash flow. The first 2 years, or the first 3 years, sorry again, is $60. From year 1 to year 3, there is a $60. From year 4, the impact of the increasement will appear and it will continue until the last year. So year 4, it will be 65. Year 5 will be 70. Year 6 will be 75. Year 7 will be 80. Year 9 will be 85. Year 6, 75. 7, 80. Yes, 8 is 85. 9 is 90, and 10 is 95. Okay, so this is how the increasement will start by amount of $5. It will affect from the beginning of year 4, okay, until the end. He didn't say that it will be for only 2 years. He said it's going to beginning from year 4, and he said find the cost through year 10. So he didn't specify there is end period for this increasement. It could say from year 4 until year 7. بعدين يعطيك the values for the remaining years. Okay. So how we convert? This is the technique here. How we convert the increasement we have using the formulation that we have covered in the previous session. These two values, the two $60 here from year 1 and 2, برا الموضوع. ليش؟ The increasement started from year 4. Always we do the study for the arithmetic gradient a year before the impact of the increase. مرة ثانية ومهمة وسجلها. الدراسة للأرثمتيك جرادينت نبدأها في سنة قبل ظهور أثر الزيادة. قبل ظهور أثر الزيادة بسنة. Where is الإمباكت؟ أثر الظهور هنا. فين إحنا شفنا الزيادة بدأت فين؟ موجودة 65. Year come year 4. So our study, our analysis will be on year 3. تمام؟ If it says the beginning was at year 4, يعني كانت here the beginning 65, so our study will be at year 4. نروح سنة قبلها. نروح سنة قبلها ونبدأ هنا نمسك السنوات من السنة اللي قبل الظهور إلى آخر سنة موجود عندنا فيها الانكريزمنت. Where is the last year؟ عندنا the last year on year 10. So from year 3 until year 10 هذا بلوك لحاله نتعامل معاه بالarithmetic gradient rules. What about these 2 years? These 2 years I deal with them as we have covered in the previous session. They are annual value, or you can use P given A for each, P given F for each one, P given F for 1 year, P given F for 2 years. Or you can use easier in one step, P given A for 2 years, the amount is fixed $60. If the amount is not fixed, يعني هنا كان 40 وهنا كان 60, you will do a P given F for 1 and P given F for 2. لكن since they are equal, خلاص I do P given A for 2 years and the amount is 60. And this is how we converted that part. P given A, percent is 12 already given in the question for 2 years. And you multiply it with this amount of 60 and you find it from the table as we learned. Okay, انتهينا من الجزء هذا. خلينا هنا الارثمتيك جرادينت. arithmetic gradient this part. ليش this part؟ قلنا لأنه نشوف السنة اللي بان فيها نتيجة الزيادة we go back 1 year and we start from that year. طيب how we find the present from this case? The present will be also 2 parts. The first part is the base part. Do you remember the line we draw from the, or we explained from the beginning? This line, فاكرين الخط هذا اللي قلت لكم عليه البيز؟ Okay. This what we are going to cover. The baseline is the $60. That's why we keep the year before to demonstrate a base, to show you where is the base. The base was here لأنه beginning في الزيادة بدأت من السنة الرابعة. البيز اللي انبنى على أساسه الزيادة it was on the 3rd year. So on the 3rd year this is the base. I deal with that as the 60 will be appeared in all the years. افتكر الخط هذا. Always remember this line. You see how the base applied in all the years? So the base, which is the $60 here in our case, applied to all the years until year 10. But pay attention. Pay attention. انتبه. انت بتتعامل من السنة الثالثة ما انت من السنة الأولى. So you count the years again. تبدأ تعد السنوات from the 3rd year until the year number 10 is 8 years. They are not 10. لأنك انت we are already in year 3. So you start count the years and that's why you see the numbering here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 to show you that this is a new counting. عشان لا تتلخبط وتحطها 10 سنوات. You are on year 3 and you are going to study or to calculate the base for the coming years until the end, which is 8 years. So we multiply 60 with P given A لأنها fixed amount $60 موجود في البيز لكل السنوات من الثالثة إلى العاشرة. P given A 12% plus 8. Easy. يعني P given A as we did previously, as like the uniform series. This is the new only part. كل الموضوع ده على this part. Okay? P given G. G stands for the gradient. The 12% plus 8. الجرادينت is given. مو احنا قلنا اللي بعد الخط هذا السلاش is given. الجرادينت is given. What is the gradient amount? Is $5. So you multiply 5 times P given G 12% for 8 years also. لأن هو الإمباكت حق الجرادينت هذا مستمر معانا إلى السنة العاشرة. For 8 years from year 3 from year 3 yes until year 10. Okay, and that will equal to 370. When you find this value, remember the present always a year back. احنا لما نوجد البريزنت مو قلنا نرجع دائما حيكون قيمته في سنة. Go back if you don't remember this, go back to the previous sessions. The present, when we find it, always we go 1 year back. So when we find the present for this amount, we are going to find the value at year 2. Okay? لما نوجد البريزنت قيمته الجدول لما نطلع لك هي وتضربها في القيمة هذه انت ما بتوجدها على نفس السنة، توجدها في سنة قبلها، وهذا تكلمنا عنه في the previous session المحاضرات اللي ارجع لها، انه هذه خاصية في عملية البريزنت انه هو دائما سنة في تكون يعني متأخرة. Okay, so now we find all this value at year 2. That's why you see it P2 لأنه إحنا حنكون at year 2 بعد ما نوجد قيمة all these values as a single value. We convert all these values, the gradient and the base, into single value placed on year 2. Now I have to find it at P0. So I have to convert it from P2 to P0. It's already single value, so I deal with it as a future. لأنها هي خلاص تحولت من السنة الثالثة إلى العاشرة إلى one single value at year 2. Now I deal with it as a future value, future single value. P given F 12%, 2 years. So to find it on year 0, And this P2 is exactly the value you found in the previous step. After you find this value, you add it to the value حقت اللي هي 60s هدول اللي احنا وجدناهم. So you add the 101 and the 295 together, that will be the 396. That is the P0. Again, عندنا جزئين في المسألة هذه. دائما لما تجيك gradient, what you do? Always look where the impact of the gradient appeared. فين بدأ الظهور وفين انتهى. لأنه مهم هنا in this question انتهى في آخر سنة. ممكن يجيك سؤال ينتهي في النص بعدين يكمل معك بقيم مختلفة ما لها دخل بالgradient. So here we start finding where it starts, the impact, where is the end. Where is start the impact? On year 4. So we do the study 1 year previous. Before this year, we do the study. And we see the end, so we know the number of years that we will count for. ليش نعرف النهاية؟ عشان نعرف عدد السنوات اللي حنعدها من البيز اللي هو سنة قبل السنة اللي يظهر فيها التأثير. Now we start to do the counting for those number of years because we will use this counting instead of the original count in the cash flow. Now the counting starts from the base until the end of the gradient. ألين ما فين بينتهي الجرادينت معانا نوقف. So this is the first step. The second step, we do separate the base from the gradient. كيف؟ البيز هو الير اللي هي before gradient impact اللي هي هنا كانت 60. هذا البيز. This base apply to the all years that where is the gradient. هو منطبق على كل السنوات اللي فيها gradient لأنه هو أساس الزيادة اللي بتبنت عليها. And we deal with that as a P given A على حسب عدد السنوات اللي عندي فيها الgradient منطبق عليها. And then the second part I deal with the gradient. الجرادينت اللي هو معدل الزيادة الحسابية بيكون معطى عندي في الغالب إما cash flow or in the question, and I use P given G. How I found this in the table? Let's go and find that in the table now مع بعض عشان تتأكدوا how you can find it. We go to the tables. Let's zoom in. This is the 12% table that we are using for our example. Now we have columns, we have dealt with the P given F, P given A, F given P, F given A given P, A given F. There is A given G and there is the P given G. In this case, we are dealing with the P given G, اللي هو from the gradient. How we deal with the column? The same as we have handled the previous one. So P given G for 8 years, هذه عدد السنوات, it will be 14.47. 14.47 is the P given G. So you take this value and you place it and you multiply it with 5. P given A للجزء اللي هو الحق البيز, the part for the base, 4.96 is already here. So you use these two values to find the اللي هو قيمة present from the gradient and from the annual. Let's go back. So this is how you find the value here and how you find the value here. This is already we covered it, but again, how you do that, you can confirm with the values in the tables. You multiply the P given G value from the table with 5 and the same for A with 60, and then you get the result. أوجدنا result depend on now طبعا present, as soon as we say present, always the present comes on a year before. هذا غطيناها من أول بنعيدها أكثر مرة. البريزنت بتوجد قيمته تلقائيا سنة قبلها، هو كده طريقة قانونه. We are going to find these values even though we started on year 3, but the value will appear on year 2. Now we want to find P0. We are not on P0, we are on P2. So we converted using a single value converting from the future P given F, 12% for 2 years, for this amount اللي هو القيمة هذه تضربها في القوس هذا from the table you get the 295. For those two values annual uniform متساويين we want to find them at P0 we just convert them P given A 12% for 2 years and you multiply it with 60 then you add these together the 101 and the 295 and you get the final answer. I hope you enjoyed this session and also you now learn how you use the arithmetic gradient, the shifted arithmetic gradient to solve chapter 2 problems. This is the level where are we going to cover in terms of the examples or the questions that you may see in the exam. Thank you for watching and we'll see you with the other chapters for the engineering economy.